Have you ever had the task of mass updating records in Dynamics 365 Finance and Supply Chain Management? It can be error-prone, exhausting, and time-consuming. What if I told you that there is an easier way to mass update records directly from Excel? Hey guys, welcome to Dynamics Insights, and in this video we'll explore how to mass update records with the Excel Data Connector add-in. Right now we're in the main page of the ERP, and before we start, keep in mind that this functionality that I'm going to show you is present in almost every form of the ERP, so you can use it in release products, customers, vendors, or even in a lot of configurations for the system. But for right now, we'll use the asset management module and we'll go to the manufacturers and models, as this is an easier for us to show you. Now we're in the manufacturers and models form, and to use the data connector we'll have to go to the top right and we'll search for that office icon, and when we click on it we'll see two options: open in Excel and export to Excel. The way they differ is that the export to Excel is just a normal export, so maybe it's for reporting purposes or you just want to download the information for you. But if we click on the open in Excel, this will download a file that is connected to the ERP, meaning that we can do some changes, maybe create new records or even delete records. Now we click here on enable editing and this will open the data connector to our right. Keep in mind that the first time that you come in here, it will ask you to log in with your credentials. Let me zoom in a little bit. Perfect. You will see in here in the bottom, we'll have a couple of options. And now we are connected to the ERP. These are the fields that we can see. But what if you are missing some fields? This is a common scenario. How can you add some of those missing fields? And to do that, you want to click on the design, and this will show us with which entity we are working. We'll see that we are working with the asset management manufacturers, and whenever the entity shows, we'll click on that little pencil in here to edit. Now we can see here the available fields and also the selected fields. We can just double click and this will add whichever fields we like to the selected ones. We can also move them up or down to adjust the order in which they will be presented in here. This can be useful if you have your information in another Excel file in a certain order, so they match and it'll be easier for you to copy and paste. Now let's click on update and yes, and you will see here that now we have that field in our Excel. Let's click here on done, and this is very important. Every time you do any changes to the design, you'll have to click on refresh. This will go to the system and take that information from there. Now, let's say that we want to add some more information. So I have here in my Excel the information I want to add. I will just copy that. And now I'm going back. Perfect. This company, this is our legal entity in the system. Whenever you are done and you wanna make your changes impact the system, you have here this publish button. I'm gonna click it and this is publishing. So now the publish was successful and the workbook was updated. So now if we go back to the system and if we refresh in here, we'll see that our new manufacturers have been added to the system. Now let's say that we want to add some models that is not available in here, but because I already know what I'm looking for, I'm going back to the Excel and I'm going to click on design again but this time I'm going to delete the entity because I want to work with a different one. I click here on the add table and I'm going to select the correct entity, and this one is the asset management models. I click on next and you can see it's showing me the available fields and I have to pick whatever I want to work with. So let's do manufacturer, model, asset type and description, and let's just check in here if we have them in the same order. Manufacturer and asset type. So let's move this up. Then model and description. Okay, that's good. So done, yes, and now click done again and refresh. Perfect. Okay, so now this is just, I'm going to this table in here where I have my information. Let's just verify. Perfect, we have our manufacturers that we have in the system. I will just copy everything. And paste. And what happens if you make an error? Whenever an error shows, you will see that in the message center. You can find that in the bottom right. And we will see some errors right now because for the asset type or the machine type, there are some options that we are trying to add to the system, but this is something that must be configured in the system beforehand. So this is if we click on the field, and because this is a drop down, we'll see the list of our available options in here. And if we search in here, we won't be able to find a wheel loader, for example. So that means that whenever I click on publish, the ones that we don't have won't get published in the system. So let's try that so we can see some errors. It's publishing. Perfect. So we had 20 errors. We can click on OK, or we could click here in the Open Message Center to review them. Let's just click on OK. I can go to the Message Center in here. Sometimes these messages are not really easy to understand, but let's see in here. It's telling us that the value of articulated truck in the field asset type was not found in the related table asset management asset type. So we don't have those asset types in the system. That's why we got the error. Let's clear the errors and go back. And now let's do a refresh so we can know and verify that the other ones, see, before we only have one, now we have all of these ones. Now let's go back to the system and check. I'm gonna click in the top right there, refresh, and we can see in here that we have 4 models for Volvo, 3 for John Deere, and 5 for Caterpillar. So how can we publish everything that was missing? So we could go to that asset type form, and in here we can do the same thing. So we'll go to the office icon to open in Excel, download the file, and now we are opening that file so we can add those missing asset types. Enable editing. So let's click on design. I think we don't need anything from the entity, but let's just check our available fields in here. Yeah, it's only the name that we could add. Let's add it in here. We're done and we'll refresh. Yes. Perfect, this is the asset type and the name for it. Now let's go to our Excel file in here, and I have the asset types in here. I can just copy them and add them in here. And now we will publish them. Duplicate entries, let's review that. Oh yeah, the excavator, this one, we already have it. Delete one. Let's publish. More duplicates, let's see. Perfect, let's take out this one. Okay, we will create 6 new rows and delete one, okay. One error. Okay, the one I deleted, it already has one model. That's why we got that error, but that's okay. I can just refresh. Now let's go back to the system and refresh. We can see now those new asset types. What this means is that we can now come back in here and try to add the ones that we were missing. Let's copy this again. And let's publish. We only got one error. Okay, that's okay because this name is different. So let us change it and publish again. Perfect. So now we should have in the system every single one of them. Let's go and review the manufacturers and models. Okay, yeah, we have 12, 10, and 10 for Volvo. So we are good. And yeah, that was pretty much it. That's how we'll use the data connector in Excel to update records. And before we go, guys, a couple of considerations. If you want to update records in the system, there is another tool that you could use. It's called the data management framework. And that's mainly used for maybe more complex scenarios. Maybe you want to handle a lot of records, or maybe you want to do a system migration, or you want to migrate the information from one environment to another. In those scenarios, you should use the data management framework. Also, if you want to work with multiple entities at the same time, data management framework is the tool to use. But if you're working with hundreds or maybe thousands, but not that much records, you can use the Excel data connector add-in and you will get really good results. So thanks for watching. Remember to click like and subscribe and leave any comments. Let me know what content you'd like me to create next. See you guys. Bye.